Hello everyone, Dan Lucas from Credo here, and welcome to our video on 50 states in 50 days. And today we are doing the 31st state admitted to the Union, California. And California was admitted to the Union on September 9th, 1850. Unbelievable that we were moving this far west so quickly in this country. It never even really occurred to me before I was looking at all these states and when they were admitted at how fast this company grew. How fast this country grew. I mean, it is like a fast growing company. I mean, this is like a tech unicorn, basically, is how this country grew. I mean, gosh, just, what a job by the founding fathers. I mean, they just really, the idea they had just kind of took off, and man, this whole thing, manifest destiny, everything, I'm just blown away as how fast things move. Now that we live in a world where there's so much bureaucracy, red tape, things move so slowly, it's just amazing how fast the country moved. Anyway, let's talk about California. Why do you care about tax credits and incentives in California? Because taxes are really high in California, okay? And a lot of times when you combine federal and state, and as the time of this video, kind of worried right now that federal is going to go way up. You're going to be paying well over 50% tax if you're living in California. It's a great place to do business, no doubt about that. A lot of people, a lot of money, price is high, and you can do very well. A lot of fortunes made in California. I'm not saying you can't do well in California, but taxes are very high. Right now, as of the date of this video, it's 13.3%, and I think that there are some bills in the state right now in Sacramento that are going to make them higher, or at least proposing to make it higher. So you're going to want to start, if you're in California, you're going to want to start getting more familiar with tax incentives and tax credits if you're not already. Good news is that with good, careful planning and good strategies and careful spending, you can really mitigate the high rates in California, okay? You can get your tax rate down a lot, your effective tax rate between state and federal, okay? That's not an empty promise. Now, it does require some work and some planning, and we work with a lot of clients in California. You can really get these rates down, and we have a lot of clients that can testify to that for us. Okay, let's get into it. So, compared to other states, California does not have a huge list of credits. I would say that they are probably on the medium-low side, not the lowest, but I wouldn't even call it medium. But they are, they do have some credits where if you qualify for them, can be significant dollar amounts, okay? Again, these are not the only tax strategy that you can use if you live in California. These are just credits that a lot of people just miss or disregard, don't even see. Are there a lot of tax professionals out in California that are familiar with these? They could be, okay? Not all are, all right? In the tax code, you've got millions and millions of lines in the tax code and federal alone just to keep track of. So even though you think that we can all keep up with everything that's going on, it's not always necessarily something practical. And a lot of times tax professionals are busy preparing so many returns, they can't even see straight. And so that's what we're doing in this right now, is we're taking a little bit of a break, a little bit of a pause, and saying, let's step back a little bit. Let's look at some of these credits and find out, are we missing anything, right? In my firm, in general, Credo, I mean, we just do a lot of planning and we do a lot less better, okay? So we take on less clients and just go deeper and really try to mitigate their taxes, and so it's less of a volume game for us. And I know not a lot of people are on that model, and I'm not bashing anybody on a different model, but we really pay attention to all these different areas because we want to save on federal tax. We want to get you the deductions that you deserve. We want to get you any tax credits you deserve. We want to plan out the taxes year to year and the different types of income, whether it be capital gain or ordinary income. And then we also want to be looking at the state you're operating in and taking advantage of those incentives and credits on top of all the federal ones, okay? So don't necessarily assume if you're in California that your tax professional knows of these or will take care of these. Bring them to their attention, or have a conversation with them. Tell them you want to sit down and talk to them about the California tax credits and see if you qualify for any of them. You're going to be a little proactive on this, okay? Don't just assume that they can get into it. Again, if you want us to help you understand any of these, give us a question, send us a note. We're more than happy to walk through any of these with you and do some research on a case-by-case basis. Okay, let's get into it. So the first credit I want to talk about is the advanced transportation and manufacturing sales and use tax exemption. Okay, not really a credit, but it can be a big deal, especially if you're missing it. I would hope that if you're in this industry, that you're already getting this, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that aren't. Okay, now the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority, which is the acronym CAEA-TFA, it gives you a full sales and use tax exclusion if you're a manufacturer and you promote alternative energy and advanced transportation. There's a ton of this kind of industry out in California, okay? Doing solar, natural gas, transportation, things like that. Stuff's all over the place, okay? So if you're in this area, you've got to look at this exemption. It is a huge liability you can avoid if you qualify for it. Okay, the next one is the California Competes Tax Credit. This is an income tax credit, so corporate income tax or a personal income if it's a pass-through entity. And it's available to businesses who want to come, stay, or grow in California. So if you come into California, they're going to give you some tax credits just to come in there. Now, why would anybody go to somewhere where they're going to pay a lot of income tax? Well, it might be that you're going to Silicon Valley, or it might be that you're going to a certain area where your business is going to thrive. Offset the additional income tax you're going to pay with these tax incentives. If you miss these tax incentives, you're going to miss out on potentially a lot of profit, and you're going to make a bad decision because you're assuming you're going to pay a lot of tax, but you're not necessarily going to pay a lot of tax because they have some things in here to offset it, okay? Again, this is knowledge. All of this is just knowledge. And if you want to go to California, but the reason that you don't is because of taxes, look at this, because if you move into California, they do actually have a pretty decent program to offset some of your tax liability just to get you in the door, okay? All right. They have a film and television tax credit program. Probably not a big surprise. A lot of states have this, but California is obviously known for a lot of film and television production. They do have a credit there for you. I think that this has become more and more popular, more and more aggressive over time as they've had a lot of competition from outside states. They do not want states taking away their film and production business, guaranteed. They need that tax base. So if you're doing anything like that in California, this is probably the state where most people are aware of the credit, but if you're not, gosh, you need to make sure you're getting these. You don't have to be a Hollywood production studio to get credits. You can be filming commercials, you can be doing digital content, you can be doing post-production work and still get these credits, okay? So anything in that industry or anything related to that, it's worth looking into. Okay, they have a new employment credit. This is available to companies that you're hiring qualified full-time people and you're within a designated geographic area. So look up the geographic area, and if you're hiring people and you're not getting credits, you're probably missing some, okay? They have a research and development tax credit. Again, there's a big federal R&D credit, research and development credit. Most people miss it if they qualify. I don't like calling it R&D because I think that pigeonholes too many things and can bias you as to what you think R&D is. I call it the innovation credit because it really is more about innovation, not R&D. So anything that you're doing is innovative. Process, system, new software, improving your product, improving your service, improving your people. Don't assume it doesn't qualify, okay? Look into it and see if it qualifies. Those credits are huge. The federal credits are enormous, and a lot of times the state credits can be even bigger than the federal credits. So if you're in a state that allows you to double dip on R&D, it's a must. You have to look at these. Okay, there is a sales and use tax exemption for agriculture. It says the California Department of Tax and Fee Admission administers a partial exemption, it's partial, from the sales and use tax for the sale, storage, use, or other consumption of farm equipment, machinery, and other parts. Okay, so when you talk about agriculture, this is not talking about necessarily the plants or how much you're producing, but it's all the equipment. Now, I know a lot of people are in cannabis in California, not just California, a lot of states, but there's a lot of cannabis production in California. I don't know if this qualifies. I bet it does. And so for any of the equipment, machinery that you're using in California, you're going to want to look at this credit, okay? I really, I know that there's some federal kind of hiccups and stuff with cannabis production, but I don't think there's any in California. So if you aren't getting tax credits for the equipment that you're using to produce anything that would be considered agriculture, you're probably missing out on a lot of credits, okay? And especially, these credits can be big because you're talking about expensive items, expensive machinery, expensive equipment, okay? Let's see. They have something called a teleproduction exemption, and that is you get a partial sales and use tax exemption for the sale, storage, use, or other consumption of machinery, equipment, including component parts, to a qualified person used primarily in teleproduction or other post-production service. So that was kind of, we were talking about the film and entertainment industry credit before. This is going to be that kind of post-production. So you don't have to be filming anything. You just have to be part of the process. So the process can be, all the way from, casting and writing storyboards and screenwriting and stuff, all the way out to actually getting to the final production pieces and pushing it out. Again, it doesn't have to be a movie. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be a long production. It can be digital content. It can be little commercials, et cetera, et cetera. So anything in this area, you need to be looking at the credits. Okay. The last one I'm going to talk about is timber harvesting, and this is actually neat because I see this in a lot of different like investment partnerships where it's kind of like closely held little private investments. You get a partial exemption from sales and use tax for sales and purchases of equipment, machinery, and their parts designed primarily for off-road use in commercial timber harvesting operations. So, I mean, if you're in, this industry, obviously you want to be looking at this. I'd be really surprised if you didn't know about it. But also, if you're in a group of investors that have invested in something like this, don't assume that you're not due some credits on this. So you might get a K1 from one of these investment partnerships, and they may not put any information on there that your CPA or tax professional would know that you are owed credits on. So even being a partner in one of these things, you might get some flow-through credits, or they might have flow-through credits available to you, but it may not go in the K1. It might be up to you or your CPA professional to know that you get some credits in this area. So if you're invested in anything in timber, you're going to want to look and make sure that you're getting the credits that you're due on these, okay? So to kind of sum it up, that's kind of the last credit in California. If you're in California, the rates are so high, I think you owe it to yourself to look into these more. Again, this is not, looking at these credits is not a sole way to mitigate tax. There's lots of ways to mitigate tax if you're a California resident, and we help our clients with that all the time. But again, part of the purpose of these videos is to build awareness in the tax credits and incentives in the different states. These are the most missed opportunities that I have seen in the 20 years I've been doing this. And I'm just trying to build awareness on this. So if you have anything in this area, it's worth looking up. Send us a note, send us a question, let us know. We're happy to research things on a case-by-case basis to help you save money in California. And our work to help you in California is worth a lot because your rate is a lot of times triple or quadruple the state income tax rates of other states, and so the benefit's much greater to you. Okay, so thank you, and all of you that live in sunny California, I'd love to help you mitigate tax. If you want to give me a call or send me an email or a message. Okay, all right, thanks so much. Take care.